What's going on, guys? It's Hi with the Upper Life USA, and hope you enjoyed the first part of this video as I took you with me when I attended the Northwest Tatau Festival, which is essentially a tattoo expo. For this event, I brought along my Leica M6, the 7 Artisans 35mm f2, the Zeiss Planar 50mm f2, and a roll of Kodak Portra 800. If you're curious about which lens took which images, they're divided by the section in the video where I showed the lens change. All images prior to the lens change was taken by the 7 Artisans 35mm f2, and all images after were taken by the Zeiss Planar 50mm f2. I actually haven't used the Zeiss Planar since buying the 7 Artisans, and it's crazy how different the experience is. My particular M6 has a 0.85 mag viewfinder and has frame line support for 35, 50, 75, 90, and 135mm lenses. I wanted to try out the 0.85 mag viewfinder because I personally felt that it would be the best fit for a 50mm lens, and that's pretty much the combo that I've been using since I purchased the camera until I recently picked up the 7 Artisans 35mm lens. 35mm is the widest focal length supported on this particular viewfinder, but even so, it's not the easiest combination in the world to shoot with. Because 35mm is the widest supported focal length, from my experience, whenever you have this combination together, the frame line is typically hidden in parts and you have to hunt around to get proper framing. You can get used to this, but it is a bit of an annoyance. This is even worse if you wear glasses because you are even further away removed from the viewfinder, and that just means that you can see even less of it. This is something that I've had to deal with since picking up this lens, but once I popped on the 50mm, I immediately remember why I chose this combination of focal length in the 50mm and the 85 mag viewfinder in the first place. So just remember that if you're interested in picking up a 0.85 mag viewfinder Leica. Moving on to the film that I shot, if you've been with this channel for a while, you know that I don't really shoot a lot of color negative film. This is actually the first roll of Kodak Portra 800 that I've ever shot. Because of this, I won't be able to give you an in-depth review of the emotion itself, but more so of a first impressions. The first thing that I want to say is that I was really glad to have this film at this particular location. Obviously, I was indoors, and even though there were a lot of lights around on the ceiling in front of the artist and everywhere, photographically it was still quite dark. Surprisingly, even with an 800 speed film, there were certain occasions where I still had to shoot wide open and go down to about a 30th of a second. This was more so an issue with the 50mm because once I dropped the shutter speed down, I'm obviously opening myself up for more opportunity for motion blur. That being said, having a high-speed film is really useful for indoor events like this. Upon looking at my scans for the first time, the first thing that I noticed was the grain. I think it's because I've been shooting a lot of slow-speed films, so I'm not really used to seeing grain, but I was surprised at how much grain there was in this film. To me, there is a lot of grain in this film, but I would say that it's finer grain than other 800 speed films that I've tried. The grain is apparent, but it's not overwhelming or detract away from the image. I think for me, the grain actually gives a better perception of sharpness. Not to say that this film isn't sharp, but the finer grain definitely does help. After my first experience, I would say that Portra 800 is a good, easy film to work with. Grain is finer than others at a similar box speeds. Sharpness is good. Colors aren't overwhelming. Everything is good about this film except for the price. At over $9 a roll, it's really hard to think of this film as an everyday film. I would personally only shoot this film for the speed. It's not something that I would want to keep around just for the sake of doing so. I think if you're interested in this film, it's definitely worth a try. Pick some up, try it out for yourself, and let me know how it goes. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, share it around, comment down below with any questions that you may have. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more content. Thank you for watching this video. I'll see you guys next time.